Now, when we talk about the global value chain, I don't think most of us even understand what it means, in the sense that the other day we were setting up the logistics and operations management bachelor's degree. And no parent, no teacher, no headmaster, no career advisor ever told our students in schools just how important something like logistics and operations management are important to participate in the global value chain, especially for our agricultural products. If you look at our infrastructure in the little manufacturing sector we have, I am right now dealing with the one of avocado. Before you export avocado, and you have to meet the international standards, we have only 5 companies in Kenya, and only 3 of them have certifications of global standards for export of avocado. And the worst part about it is that of these 3, 2 are owned by a guy from New Zealand and another guy from Switzerland. Let's go to the flour value chain. The flour value chain in Kenya was started by the Dutch. So they set up the distribution companies in Netherlands. We became the highest producers of flours around Africa. We became the #1 distributor of flours in Europe. But there was no Kenyan flour. It was all Dutch. So let's go to tea, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever seen our KTDA, the Kenya Tea Development Authority, or Unilever, announce to you that the tea you drink in Lipton has 30% Kenya tea component? No. That's the way the global value chains are structured, and we maintain them that way. But the funny thing about the Kenya Tea Development Authority is that the farmer receives less than 20% of the value of the product when it enters the market. Why? Because there is no accountability, measure, and standards to the farmer right from the factory floor. The entire process is flawed by lack of proper governance in the processes, by lack of standards in the processes, by machinations and shenanigans around the processes, until finally it is in the auction where the same people who have apparently the right to look through the accountability of the whole process of tea, and here we are talking about 600,000 farmers in Kenya, ladies and gentlemen. They also own the stock brokerage that does the auctioning of the Kenyan tea. The hard part in my heart is, why are we so important in the tea value chain of the world, but Colombia's tea, South African tea, is everywhere in the markets except Kenyan? So how do we negotiate our place in the global value chains? I will not talk about gold, I will not talk about coltan, I will not talk about diamonds, I will not talk about uranium in Malawi, I will not talk about the oil in Gabon, where the GDP of the country is above $9,000 per capita, which is a drop from $13,000 per capita. But the daily lives of the people in Gabon are $200 per capita. 12 companies control the oil. Have we been involved in the production of the world and in the global value chains? Yes, we have. But we have never negotiated our place in the global value chains because we have either been colonized or ignorant. And thirdly, all that exacerbated by a corrupt system that never understands educating its citizens and skills in the value chain processes is fundamental. So the same structure and percentage of education and skills development in 1963, averagely speaking, in terms of quality production, in terms of capacity of production per person, I don't think we are growing, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have the scientific statistic of that. But frankly speaking, I don't see Muranga, I don't see Turkana, I don't see Lodwa, I don't see Mijikendas in the coast, I don't see the Maasais, I don't see the Luos, the Kisis, the Karamajongs, the Pokots, the Marakwets, all of them with the best land in the world. The Nandis in Cherangani Hills, to produce the best tea in the world. None of them have the skills. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, my feeling is that by 2050, 2.5 billion of the population of the world, that's a third of the population of the world, is going to be around this continent. Save for the fact that I have seen there is a crack along the Rift Valley, which means the continent may separate in the next 170 million years. But you shouldn't worry about the million years. The concept here, ladies and gentlemen, is why don't you create some new, quote unquote, global value chains across Africa? Why does Nigeria have to import tomatoes from Spain, from Mexico, from the United States? Think about all the things around you where you're sitting right now. You make coffee, but probably the coffee you're drinking is Nescafe. You have the most natural foods, but probably you're actually feeding on Nestle foods. You have all the natural waters. Probably you don't take care of them. But Dasani, owned by Coca-Cola, of course the profits go to Coca-Cola. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I think that it is time ACFTA, that is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, started rethinking, without stopping global trade, but rethinking how we are going to create lower cost distribution of goods and services across this continent. I can tell you, you will open up an incredible amount of income for the people of Kenya. But all that is useless, completely useless, if our Ministry of Education and our Ministry of Culture and Social Services are dead. Dead to the strategies of the global value chain. Ladies and gentlemen, I love this, but we are too far in terms of governance, in terms of skills, in terms of understanding what strategy we should take in this continent of ours, in terms of building skills amongst our people. We have always been in the global value chain of everything. Mineral-wise, food-wise, land-wise, people-wise. We've always been. We created United States of America through slave trade and all the sugar factories based on the backs of the slaves. I won't talk about South America. We've always been. The problem is we've always been slaves in the process. And we have set up a governance structure that keeps that slavery going. Because, note, we received $347 billion in FDIs and investments and donor funds in Africa. Do you know what is the total amount of cash in foreign banks by more than 100,000 Africans? Just about 100,000 Africans. $1 trillion. We can fund 3 times the value of GDP, the value of GDP, the value of FDI that comes to Africa, 3 times plus. But all we are doing is extracting cash flights, business and deaths to go with it. Okay, it's a tough job. It's a tough job to turn around where the value in the developed countries is going. But own up. Own up to your continent, own up to your own value, own up to the fact that at least we should increase from 10% to about an average of 40% of the value we generate in Africa. Enough is enough. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.